I was glad to be here because democracy in America is a story of narrow escapes, and we may be running out of luck. We keep telling ourselves that for all its shortcomings, the system works. But now all bets are off. Under the spell of force, money, deceit, and fear, the great American experience of creating a better future together has been subjugated to individual cunning in the pursuit of wealth and power, and to the ravenous claims of empire and its stuporous distractions. Many people sense the political impotence, the mass resignation that our friend, the populist historian Lawrence Goodwin, describes as believing in the dogma of democracy on a superficial public level, but not believing it privately. We hold elections knowing that the odds are long against bringing the corporate state and its cutthroat capitalism under popular checks and balances. We put our faith in princes, hoping they will lead us toward the promised land, only to find they have plunged us into the wilderness. For all the vigor at local levels, we seem unable to translate our personal commitments into new vistas of social possibility, and we grope for the political will to address our most intractable challenges. We know this earth we share as our common gift to be passed on in good condition to our children's children is being despoiled. Private wealth swells on speculation as public needs starve for elemental oxygen. Our Constitution is cast into the shadow by a powerful cabal of secrecy-obsessed authoritarians, the gravediggers of democracy. Terms like liberty and freedom, invoked by generations of Americans who battled to widen the founding promise of a more perfect union for the general welfare, have been perverted to create a government dedicated to the welfare of the state, the political class that runs it, and the donor class that exploits it. It isn't necessary to be a Jeremiah crying aloud to a sinful Jerusalem that the Lord is about to afflict them for their sins of idolatry. It isn't necessary to be Cassandra making a nuisance of herself as she wanders King Priam's palace grounds, wailing, "The Greeks are coming." Or Socrates, the gadfly, stinging the rump of power with jabs of truth. You need only to be a reporter with your eyes open. You need only to connect the dots. So, I report the assault on nature by coal mining that tears the tops off mountains and dumps them into rivers, sacrificing the health and lives of those in the river valleys to short-term profit. And I see a link between that process and the stock market frenzy, which scorns long-term investments, genuine savings, in favor of quick turnovers and speculative bubbles, whose inevitable bursting leaves insiders with stuffed pockets and millions of small stockholders, pensioners, and employees out of work, out of luck, and out of hope. And then I see a connection between those disasters and the repeal of 60-year-old banking and securities regulation designed during the Great Depression to prevent exactly such human and economic damage. Who pushed for the removal of that firewall? The elected and appointed marionettes of Wall Street, who are well rewarded for their efforts with indispensable campaign contributions. Even honorable opponents of the practice get trapped in the web of an electoral system that effectively limits suffrage to those who can afford to raise millions in their run for office. Then I draw a line to the statistics that show real wages lagging behind prices, the compensation of corporate barons soaring to heights unequaled anywhere among the industrialized democracies, the endless pairing of federal funds devoted to public schools, infrastructure, retraining workers, and health care for children. And I see the latter swept away, by which Americans of scant means but willing minds and hands could work and save their way upward. And I connect those numbers to our Triumphant reactionaries long campaigned against labor unions and a living wage, and to their success in reframing the tax code so as to strip them of their progressive character, laying the burdens of Atlas on the struggling middle class awash in credit card debt, as wage earners strive to keep up with rising costs of housing, college tuitions, affordable health care, and even food. While huge inheritances go untouched, tax shelters abroad are legalized, and rates on capital gains are slashed, fueling not the wealth of the nation, but the greed of the neatly positioned and the nicely connected. Edward R. Murrow told his generation of journalists, "No one can eliminate prejudices, just recognize them." So here's my bias. Extremes of wealth and poverty cannot be reconciled with a genuinely democratic politics. And with that, I'm in good company. Plutarch proved prophetic when he said that an imbalance between rich and poor is the oldest and most fatal ailment of all republics. When the state becomes the patron of privilege to the neglect of justice, it mocks the very concept of government proclaimed in the preamble to our Constitution, mocks Lincoln's sacred and not misplaced trust in the people, and mocks the great progressive notion of government as a voluntary union for the good of all. In contrast, the philosophy popularized in the last quarter century that freedom simply means freedom to choose among competing brands of consumer goods, that taxes are an unfair theft from the pockets of the successful to reward the incompetent, and that the market will meet all human needs while government itself enshrines social Darwinism as public policy. This philosophy is as subversive as Benedict Arnold's betrayal of the revolution he had once served. Did I say revolution? The word stirs faintly in our DNA like an itch that cannot be altogether quieted. And it's true. We are the heirs of revolution. We're the spiritual descendants of radicals who believe that we, the people, we together, not just a favored few, could identify and would remedy common distempers and dilemmas and prove that people could be trusted with their destiny. Gordon Wood wrote a landmark book on that subject and called it The Radicalism of the American Revolution. Our nation discovered its greatness, he says, by creating a prosperous, free society belonging to obscure people with their workaday concerns and their pecuniary pursuits of happiness. This democracy, he says, changed the lives of hitherto neglected and despised masses of common laboring people like Ruby and Henry Moyers. How could we have forgotten that in an age of monarchs, lords, and nobles, of feudal realms and ecclesiastical riches and the divine rights of rulers, this was the radical liberation of a universal aspiration. More compelling today for having been so often shanghaied and shackled that every age must battle in its own way to redeem it once again. I saw Majorgan and Van appear, and I thought, our children are being cheated of their revolutionary heritage. Go to urban schools with high concentrations of poor and minority children, and you can understand what it must have meant to Native Americans to be segregated on reservations, isolated, powerless, shorn of any chance to participate in the shaping of your destiny in the larger world. In 1976, filming a series on the bicentennial of the American Revolution, and again in 1986, filming for the bicentennial of the Constitution, and steadily over the last decade, as Judith and I have made documentaries about education, kids in peril, and life in the inner city, I realized how little we teach our children the true story of America. It is almost a conspiracy that they're told so little of the Second Revolution of the 1790s, the populist revolt of the 1890s, the progressive era of reform, the powerful electoral ratification of the New Deal, and the equally powerful rejection of discrimination in the 1960s. Uninformed of the knowledge of a vibrant past, their imaginations have been disenfranchised. They do not know that the whole course of our history can be seen as a long journey of different struggles to make democracy work and America more just, of farmers who fought back, of slaves who rose up, of women who would not be denied, and unwelcome immigrants who wouldn't go home, and exploited workers who against great odds claimed the revolution as their own and breathed new life into it. Who will tell these children that of the 26 amendments to the Constitution, one deals with the judiciary, one with prohibition, 3 with the presidency, and 20 with some extension of democracy? Who will tell them that they are written into the Declaration of Independence equal before the law as citizens and moral agents? And who will read them? Thomas Wolfe. I believe, said Wolfe, that we are lost in America, but I believe that we shall be found. I think the true discovery of America, he wrote, is before us. I think the true fulfillment of our spirit, of our people, of our mighty and mortal land is yet to come. I think, he said, the true discovery of our democracy is still before us. The man I'm here to introduce has lived his life by that light. He thinks we can make the crooked ways straight and the world over again. So he's busy these days plotting the second Boston Tea Party. Norman Lear has been my friend for 30 years, my soul brother since the Big Bang. His humor has opened us to the kaleidoscope of our humanity. He has inspired us to do the best of things in the worst of times. He has mounted the barricades against theocrats and autocrats, and relentlessly he has fought to move America closer to the egalitarian values of democracy. And now he lives to rekindle the patriot dream. The patriot dream. Arlo Guthrie, remember? Arise, sweet destiny, time runs short. All of your patience has heard them retort, hear us now, for alone we can't seem to try to rekindle the patriot's dream. Can you hear the words being whispered all along the American stream? Tyrants freed, the just are imprisoned, trying to rekindle the patriot's dream. But perhaps too much is being asked of too few. You and your children with nothing to do, Hear us now, for alone we can't seem to try to rekindle the patriot's dream. Living now here, but for fortune placed by fate's mysterious schemes, who would believe that we're the ones asked to rekindle the patriot's dreams? Who would believe such a radical thing? You're about to meet him.